Welcome. The board will participate in 7 meetings today. We will start with the calendar workshop, followed by 4 closed sessions, workshops, and finally a special meeting. The attorney-client sessions will open and close in the public, but the sessions are closed. I'd like to remind all who will be speaking today that this meeting is being transcribed in real time so it can be viewed with closed captioning. Please speak at a reasonable pace so the transcribers can fully capture what you are saying. We will now call on the calendar workshop to order. Mrs. Bass, please take the roll.
District 1, Barbara McQuinn. Here. District 2, Chuck Shaw. Here. District 3, Karen Brill. Here. District 4, Erica Whitfield. Here. District 5, Frank Barbieri. Here. District 6, Marcia Andrews. Here. District 7, Deborah Robinson.
All right, we have quorum with all 7 board members present. Also in attendance on the dais is Superintendent Dr. Donald Fenoy and General Counsel Julie Ann Rico. Would everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Ms. Whitfield. The flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I understand we have several veterans in the room, so thank you very much for your service to our country, and I'm sure we'll be hearing from you shortly. Dr. Fenoy, it's all yours.
We're going to start with speakers, Mr. Chair. Start with speakers.
Okay, we'll get the speakers first. All right, so we have quite a few speakers that will be speaking today. We have two podiums. I'll call your names 2 at a time. Actually 3 at a time, so if you would make sure that you get to one podium or the other so we can keep things moving along. You'll have 3 minutes if you watch the clock. The only one that gets 4 minutes is a colonel and his puppet, so you'll see that in a little while. So I'll start with Representative Emily Schlossburg, Representative Tina Polsky, and Ronald Accord from SEIU.
Good morning, Chair Barbieri, school board members. I'm Emily Schlossburg. I'm the state representative for House District 91, which runs from Boca up to Boynton Beach. I'm here today because, I'll take you back to initially to when I started running for office. One of the first people that I met was Corporal Bruce. I went to 2 J's with Corporal Bruce and his friends. And one of the first issues that he brought to me was having Veterans Day, having off. All students should have off on Veterans Day, making it something statewide, because it really should be. I mean, other states have done it. And so this is an issue that is incredibly important to the backbone of our country, like Corporal Bruce and our other veterans. So I'm here speaking in favor of having no school, not even a teacher work day on Veterans Day, because this is something that is celebrated family-wide. You know, the family wants to be together, to be off, and there's no reason we need to have teachers at school on Veterans Day, or anybody at the school. It should be off. So with that, I would ask that you kindly take that into consideration.
Thank you, Representative Schlossburg. Representative Polsky.
Thank you very much, Chair. Thank you for hosting this workshop to discuss the important issue of the 2020 school start date. I am very proud to be the state representative for District 81, which covers the areas west of the Turnpike in Boca, Delray, Boynton, Lake Worth, as well as the 3 cities in the Glades, Belle Glade, South Bay, and Pahokee. In my first term as state representative, I focused on multiple public education issues, including a bill to raise teacher salaries, and fighting hard against the very troubling legislation that we face with respect to private school vouchers, bonus structure, and the Guardian program. I am very proud of the small victory we had on the referendum, and also to bring back money for West Tech. I worked with many of you throughout the process, and I feel confident that I will continue to focus on school issues as I gain more seniority and with that more influence. Now I'm asking you to work with me once again on the school start date. You are looking at many of my constituents, and by the way, there's many still waiting in line to get in, so I hope that we can keep this going while they're waiting to get in line, to get in here. I'm asking you to work with me once again on the school start date. You are looking at my constituents here who obviously feel very strongly about this problem. I am representing them here today, but they will all speak for themselves. I can tell you that my office has been flooded with complaints, but I have not heard from one person who prefers an earlier start date. All we are asking for is a 5-day pushback from August 10th to August 17th. This simple fix would make all the difference in the world to these families. Many of us send our children to programs and camps throughout the country. I know we want our children to experience the multitude of options across the country and not just be limited to summer programs in the Southeast that accord with our schedule. The rest of the country is on a different schedule. It is a fact of life in Palm Beach County that many of us are transplants from the Northeast. We grew up at camps there and want our children to have that same experience and want them to attend with friends and family from that area. With school starting the 3rd week in August, we have always managed to make it work. But this change in start date will be a serious problem. There are also children who have attended for years, and now a sudden change in the calendar could require them to stop attending the summer program they know and love. There are also many teachers who work at these camps. We know teachers need to supplement their income, and many work at camps throughout the country, and this would affect them as well. I ask that you remain open to listening to these parents. What they say matters. It may not affect everyone in the district, but I don't know why any parents would prefer the earlier start date. And even if this issue is a problem for only a smaller population, it still matters. If it is neutral to the rest of the county, but terribly important to these families, then we need to take that into account and help those that we can. These are the parents you see before you. You see how much they care, who make up the PTA and volunteer and make the schools in my district fantastic. Please give me another minute. I'll take up Emily's time since she didn't finish. You don't want them to have to make the decision if their child will miss the first few days of school, because with this new calendar, I'm afraid you will have many kids out the first week. Thank you for keeping an open mind and remaining flexible. We are only talking about a few days, but those few days will make all the difference in the world in enabling these students to attend their summer program of choice, the teachers to be at camps, and be ready for the first day of school. Thank you for your careful consideration.
Ronald Accord and Robert Accord, please come up to the podiums.
Good afternoon. My name is Ronald Accord. I'm a rep for FPSU. I'm here to talk to you today regarding the early starting date, also for the workers. The decision that we make here will affect a number of people that will be working for the district. For example, we have 930 bus drivers and bus attendants that will be working. By pushing or shifting the starting date to the 17th, that will affect them, and that will make their pay fall behind by 2 weeks. They already get like 4 paychecks that they are already missing this summer, and pushing it to the 17th, that will cost them an extra 2 weeks. That is for our bus drivers. We have a food service manager also. They work in 193 days. And there are about like 184 of them. The same thing will happen to them also. We have the school food service who work 182 days. About 960 of them will be missing an extra 2 weeks. That will make it like 10 weeks or 5 paychecks that they will be missing. We have our paraprofessionals also who work for the district. 1,069 of them. By pushing the date to the 17th, will causing them to miss an extra 2 weeks also. The hardship, those are the things that we want you to look at. Every summer, they're missing 8 weeks or 4 paycheck. By adding an extra week, that will causing them to push back to 2 paycheck again, that make it like 5 paycheck. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mr. Accord?
My name is Robert Accord. I am the president of ASOP. And just like my colleague Ronald over here, my bargaining unit is affected by the later start date, if that is considered. We are looking at over 1,000 employees, which is more than half of my bargaining unit. That includes our community language facilitators, our school monitors, and our paraprofessional ones. These are some of our lowest paid employees in the school district, and missing a paycheck can be financially devastating, especially for some of the employees that are heads of household. So I would, if you do decide to continue and move forward with a later start date, please put in a mechanism that will ensure that they do not miss their paycheck. Thank you.
Thank you. Corporal Richards will be next, but before he speaks, would Jim Napoli, Post Commander for Veterans Affairs, please come to the other podium? If with the board's consent, I told Corporal Richards he's got a G.I. Joe with him, and he wanted 3 minutes for each, and I told him that we'd give him 4 minutes, so if you have, for the hundreds of hours he's volunteered in our schools, if you're okay with that. So would you set the clock for 4 minutes?
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you for my time. I'm Corporal Burt Richards, and please understand this humble 89-year-old veteran. My comments today are not to be considered disrespectful, but from my research and factual information. The post that appeared before the school board in 2010, myself, Commander Ralph Shearer, Commander Charlie Epstein, who have passed on, would be happy to know that their efforts are still intact with the closing of the Palm Beach School on Veterans Day, November 11th, and for every year thereafter. But let's remember that teachers of all ages have families, husbands, brothers, uncles, fathers, grandpas, mothers, sisters, aunts who served in the military and whose bodies parts are still returning home. Every day is Veterans Day, is a day to honor those, and the teachers have a pathway to success, and to deny a teacher time off is shameful. As an elected official supporting public school education in Florida, you should support the teachers as well. Now, were you in attendance of any school graduation and be proud of what you are involved in as commissioners? Well, I hope so. Do you love your country? When you recite the Pledge of Allegiance, you learn at each meeting. It's called patriotism. And I'll bet no one knows on the dais who wrote it. Think about it. Who wrote it, the Pledge of Allegiance? As stated in your superintendent, and I quote, "I understand my education has forever changed the life trajectory, and that is why every decision I make as a leader is in the best interest of the children." What is your decision, Superintendent, to have teachers working on Veterans Day as well? I get very passionate about our veterans who only want respect. They never got it for the Korean War and the Vietnam War. What's the big deal to pay teachers on Columbus Day? As a matter of fact, Columbus only discovered us. He didn't fight for us. We have an administration that teaches dishonesty and fraud, and teachers help the students understand morality and the truth in their daily lives. So how can you deny them a day off on a federal holiday? Please marinate your decision for year 2019 and forward. And all due respect for claiming there is not a day that goes by the police and the fire department are honest as first responders. Much truly, it's our teachers on the job getting shot and killed to protect students. They're the first responders. Just so you know, June 6th, tomorrow, is D-Day, and our veterans were there first too. Now I'm going to let Corporal Burt Richards is turning the microphone over to G.I. Joe. I don't think the Education School Board was trying to be mean or not understanding. They might be uninformed, as we have some sacred obligations to care for, and those we sent to war, and those we teach American history. Now think, the President's administration wants to send immigrant children to our state. Who will receive them? Teachers, if he's still in office. Having the children home while they attend school because of pay costs, that's the issue. If it is, kindly consider that teachers get paid for hurricanes, shutdowns, Memorial Day, Martin Luther, President's Day, and more days. And as the records indicate, Florida's teachers' pay is, out of 50 states, they're 42nd, and New York City is number 1. And in closing, I want to give my appreciation to Carol Bass, the clerk, who is respectful and helpful in our hand. Now, for the teachers and students on D-Day and Virginia Beach, this is for you. I thank you and respectfully hope you have the right decision for our teachers.
Thank you, Colonel. Corporal Richards. Would Henry Tucci, American Legion, Post 380, come up to the other podium? 390, excuse me, Post 390. Yes, sir. Go ahead, Mr. Napoli.
I guess the mic is on, is it?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. Good afternoon. My name is Henry Tucci.